Have you ever worked on a project where responsibilities, accountabilities weren't quite clear? Where everyone seemed confused about who's actually in charge and who's doing what? Or maybe you've seen projects where tasks constantly fall through the cracks. Deadlines slip away month after month, or approvals are delayed when people don't know what's going on or who's doing what. It can lead to inefficiencies, stress, and sometimes outright chaos. But this is exactly where the RACI Matrix can bring order and clarity, helping teams focus and perform their best. Today, I'm excited to introduce to you the RACI Matrix, a powerful tool that I've been using for years that can really bring structure to your organization, to any team project. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to use the RACI model and how it can work for you. Know exactly how to create one and see practical examples to this and its use in real-world scenarios. Whether you're working in marketing, product development, customer service, or any other field, you'll be able to apply this model and see the benefits of streamlined communication, enhanced accountability, and improved outcomes. So let's jump right into it, talking about what the RACI Matrix is. The RACI Matrix is a responsibility assignment model that clarifies who does what on a project or a process. RACI is an acronym that stands for 4 roles: responsibility, accountability, consulted, and informed. First, let's talk about the responsibility role. This refers to the person or group who is directly responsible for carrying out the task. They're the ones who get the work actually done. Those who are directly involved in making things happen. Without someone in the responsibility role, a task simply wouldn't even get done or completed. Next, we have accountability. This is a critical role and often is misunderstood. The person in the accountability role is the one who ultimately owns the task, who has the final authority over it, and who is responsible for the end result. There can be many responsible for a task, but only one person should be accountable. Why, you ask? Because there's a simple point of accountability. It's clear who's answerable if something goes wrong or if the work doesn't meet the project goal. So this clarity prevents confusion and helps projects stay on track. Now we move on to the consulted. The consulted role includes people who aren't directly responsible for completing the task, but whose input is valuable and necessary. These might be experts, advisors, or stakeholders who can offer guidance or feedback. They provide insights that help shape decisions, make the consulted role essential for gathering the right information without overwhelming the people on the team with the extra opinions. Lastly, we have the informed. These are the people who need to be kept in the loop about the project's progress or specific outcomes, but who don't need to be actively consulted or involved. They might be shareholders, team members from another department, or even leadership who needs regular updates. By clearly defining who should be informed, teams ensure that communication flows properly, preventing any stakeholders from being left in the dark. This structure is the core of the RACI model, but how does it translate into benefits for your team? Well, when everyone's role is clear, teams operate with much greater efficiencies. The RACI Matrix reduces the overlap, ensuring that each team member knows exactly what they're supposed to do and who they can turn to for support or information. It also helps speeding up the decision-making process, especially when multiple departments or functions are involved, by keeping consulted roles streamlined. The accountable roles keeps things moving forward, while the informed roles ensures that everyone who needs to get updates are getting them. Now, let's dive into the steps to create a RACI model. This is where it all starts to get really practical. The first step is to identify all the tasks or key activities for your project. Let's say that you're launching a new product or service. Each phase of the launch, from the initial research to marketing to testing and the launch, has set tasks or key activities. Now, each of these activities will require a responsibility in there, or someone that's responsible or a group. An accountable person, a consulted person that you can actually get consultation from, and someone that you're going to probably have to be informing. So that's that informed role, or someone combined of all of these 4 roles. The goal is to break down the project into tasks that each have clearly defined roles. Once you have a list of tasks, the second step is to list all the people or roles involved in the project. Include everyone who has a hand in any part of the process. Think of a project manager, a team lead, a subject matter expert, maybe even the stakeholders. Don't forget to include people who may not be hands-on but need to stay informed about the project's process or its outcomes. Now, with the tasks and the team members defined, the third step is easy. It's to assign the RACI roles to each person for each task. This is where the RACI Matrix really gets its name. Each task in the matrix has columns for responsibilities, for the accountabilities, for the consulted, not to mention the informed. There are places for each person's role within those columns. For example, if your project involves developing a marketing campaign, the creative team may be one of those responsible for the content in that creation. But now the marketing manager, now that person's up here, they might be the one accountable for ensuring the campaign aligns with the broader goals and standards for the whole organization or the marketing campaign overall for the company. Meanwhile, the branding team, well, that's different. They can be consulted to ensure that the campaigns meets the brand guidelines. And the sales team would need to be informed about the actual launch dates that are scheduled and the messaging that's going to go along with it. You can create a RACI matrix in simple tools like Excel, Google Sheets, or you could use project management software as well. It's a simple chart, but the clarity that it brings to you and your organization is invaluable, especially for your team. Let's explore a few examples to really drive this concept home. Let's take a look at product development. Suppose your team is working on developing a new product. During your research phase, the research team might be responsible for gathering insights and conducting studies. The project manager could be accountable for ensuring that deadlines and budgets are actually met. Consulted roles might include product managers, engineers, or even customer representatives who can provide valuable insights on what customers are actually looking for. And of course, executive leadership might be informed. Don't want to forget about them, especially on those major milestones like test results or projected launch date. Or consider a customer service improvement initiative. Let's say the goal is to enhance the customer experience. In this scenario, the customer experience manager could be responsible for the process improvements. The director of customer service might be accountable for finalizing the decisions and implementing the changes. The training team could be consulted to make sure the new processes are actually feasible and to coordinate the training to all the other team members. While the stakeholders, the marketing department, the IT could all be informed to help align the processes and the changes with any technology updates or maybe even new communication standards. Now, these examples show you how flexible the RACI model can actually be. No matter the industry or project or process, it brings order and clarity, making it actually easier for each team member and each of the teams overall to navigate even the most complex tasks. But while the RACI model offers a lot of benefits, there are some best practices to consider to make sure you use it effectively. One of the most important things to do is to ensure everyone on your team understands the RACI model and what it means. For example, people should have clarity and understand that only one person should be accountable for each task. This means decision making is simple and prevents confusion or conflicting decisions. Another important best practice is to avoid overlap. If too many people are listed as consulted, it can actually slow things down and lead to decision fatigue. Instead, choose the most essential voices, the people who really need to weigh in, and limit the consultations to them. It's also critical to revisit your RACI matrix as your projects actually progress. Projects change along the way, so do the processes, and new tasks emerge. Keeping your matrix updated ensures it remains accurate and useful. And lastly, remember that RACI is a tool to actually guide you and your team. It really streamlines everything. It's not a rigid rule, but best teams are those that actually communicate openly and adapt to the new challenges as they actually arise. Use RACI as a foundation for clarity, but stay flexible to keep the team motivated and efficient. Also, it's important to remember that while the RACI model is great for clarity, it's not a substitute for good communication and teamwork. It's a guide, not a strict rule. If you find yourself focusing more on the matrix than on the actual work, then take a step back and remember that it's a tool to actually help you, not to restrict you. Let's do a quick recap. The RACI Matrix is a simple, effective way to clarify roles and responsibilities, streamline the communications, and make sure that tasks are completed effectively. By defining who's responsible, who's accountable, and who should be consulted, and not to mention who needs to be informed, you create a clear roadmap that your team can actually follow. It improves accountability, reduces the overlap, and keeps everyone focused on their specific roles within the project. If you've been in a situation where your team's roles weren't clear, or you've struggled with project delays because of decision making or bottlenecks, consider using a RACI Matrix in your next project. It's a straightforward tool, but the impact that it can actually have on your team's productivity and morale is profound. So here's the question for you. Have you used a RACI Matrix before? Or are you planning to give it a try? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video or you want more insights into building a successful team, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my profile for more tips. Together, let's work to elevate our teams, our projects, and ultimately our potential, one step at a time.